Since the 2019-20 season that started 6 years ago, any team has needed an average of 90 points to win the league. To get there, you have to win on average 28 games, draw 6 games, and lose no more than 4 games. In that same time frame, to finish second, you need to have an average of 82 points, which is, let's say, about 3 wins lower than the title winners. The third place team has had an average of 73 points, which is again about 3 wins fewer than the second place team. And to finish fourth, you'll need about 69 points, which is, let's say, a win and a draw less than the third place team. So to guarantee Champions League football through the Premier League, you need to have at least 69 points. And over the last 6 seasons, the teams finishing fourth have won almost exactly 20 games each, starting with Chelsea winning 20 games in the 1920 season, then Chelsea again winning 19 games in the 2021 season, then Tottenham winning 22 games in the 21-22 season, Newcastle winning 19 games in the 22-23 season, Villa winning 20 games in the 23-24 season, and finally Chelsea again winning 20 games in the 24-25 season. So I think it's pretty safe to say that winning 20 games and getting between 66 to 70 points is going to guarantee you a finish in the top 4. And I've gone and done some further digging into the underlying numbers across the last 6 seasons and this season. And I'm here to tell you that not only are Amorim's United projected to finish in the top 4, but they will statistically be one of the best 4th place teams in the last 6 seasons of the Premier League. So before you start calling bullshit and going crazy in the comments, make sure you watch till the end to see if you agree or disagree with me. Did you know that only 17% of people watching this video are subscribed to the channel? So if you're enjoying the content, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Now let's get on to the rest of the video. So this is where United are right now after 7 games. We have 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses to put us on 10 points, where we've scored 9 goals and conceded 11. Now, if you guys didn't watch my video from 2 weeks ago where I explained how expected goals and post-shot expected goals work, please go check that out now because it'll make a lot of sense for the rest of the video. But essentially, expected goals is a good measure of the quality of chance that you're creating. When we look at one shot in isolation, XG tells you the likelihood of that shot resulting in a goal, given factors like shot location, angle, and other contextual details. Now, understanding which factors go into XG is an extremely important nuance because it doesn't actually include the quality of the finish. Post-shot expected goals, or XGOT, measures the probability of an on-target shot ending in a goal. So shots ending up in the corners are more likely to result in a goal than shots going through the middle of the goal. To give you guys some clarity, this shot from Haaland in the Manchester derby that happened in March 2004 had a very high XG of 0.89 because it is a chance that City have created, almost 1 feet away from United's goal. So this is what is considered a high quality chance based on shot creation, angle, distance, and pass type. But because he isn't quite able to control it well, he ends up skying it above the net, and it ends up having a post-shot expected goal of 0. So that tells us quality of chance very high, but quality of finish very low. On the other hand, this shot from Rashford, where he opened the scoring for us from outside the box, has an XG of 0.02 because scoring from that far out is very, very rare, and it's not really considered a good quality chance that's created by the team. But this shot had a post-shot expected goal of 0.27, which, while not impossible to save, is fairly difficult for a goalkeeper to stop. Now, this image right here can provide a bit more clarity as well. Expected goals is more like looking at the shots from a top-down view, where you get to see the shot angle, the pass before the shot, the distance to goal, and so on. But post-shot expected goals is more like looking at it from the shooter's perspective, where you get to see the quality of the finish after the ball has left the foot, because a higher expected goal on target is harder for a goalkeeper to save. Now, if we go back to the current points table here, United are sitting in 10th, but according to the expected goals table right here, we are sitting in 2nd because our XG at almost 14 is second only to Crystal Palace. And this is a really good representation of the cumulative chances that we've created across 7 games. And this XG is 5 more than the actual 9 goals that we've scored in the league, which means we have been creating decent chances, but we haven't been scoring them. And both of these things are happening consistently. So creating consistently decent chances and consistently failing to convert them. And I don't want to just make that claim and let it hang there. So I'll show you guys specific high XG chances that should have been goals this season, but were not. In the Fulham game, Cunha hit the post in the 2nd minute and had a point-blank range shot from Binder's pass over the top. Those two chances combined had an XG of 0.37, and on any other day, we get at least one goal from those. Penalties always have an XG of 0.79 because they're always considered high-quality chances, and Bruno obviously missed that one against Fulham, which could have been a goal, and based on his record, probably should have been a goal. Moving on to the Burnley game, Ahmad missed that big chance from Mbeumo, which was a 0.5 XG chance, but he ended up skying it. That should have probably also been a goal. Then we go to the Brentford game, where Bruno missed another penalty, which again, based on his record, guys, should have and could have been a goal. So across the 3 games that we just looked at, I counted at least 4 goals that we should have scored, but we didn't. And you can even go back to the Arsenal game where if Dorgu's shot that hit the post goes 1 inch to the left, it probably gives us a draw in that game. And in the Fulham game, we did more than enough to get the win like we just discussed. So if you're now looking at this expected points table, not just expected goals, you see that we should have been on 12 points. And that's exactly those 2 points from the Fulham game that we probably should have had. So do you guys see why looking at the underlying stats actually makes sense? Everything that we've discussed so far showcases how poor execution on the offensive side of things has cost us this season. We haven't even discussed the defensive mistakes against City and Brentford or the goalkeeping error against Arsenal. And we can quickly start to see why Amorim's system is actually looking a lot better than our position on the table dictates or our mood as a fan base dictates. But we're not done here because we haven't yet discussed the meat and potatoes of this video, which is where United are actually forecasted to finish this season. So if we extrapolate our current performance of 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses to a 38 game season, this right here is what we get. We finished the season with 16 wins, 6 draws, and 16 losses, which puts us on 54 points in 10th place. If you compare that to our expected points right here at the far end of the table, we should actually be 10 points higher on 64 points. So the key takeaway here is that if we keep up the poor finishing that we've seen so far over an entire 38 game season, we are projected to finish 10 points below where we should be on the table. So our poor finishing will cost us 10 points essentially. Regardless of how good or shit you think Ruben Amorim is at coaching this team, you can't argue with the stats that are in front of you. The system is allowing the players to create good chances, but time and time again, we are wasteful in front of goal, and that is what's causing us to lose games instead of drawing, and draw games instead of winning. So the first big point that I want to make in this video is that if United change nothing other than improving our finishing just to where it should be, we will finish the season in 6th according to this expected points table. I'm not saying that we need to start scoring worldies from the edge of the box while playing shit football. I'm just saying that we keep the same players, play the same system, and just finish our dinner when it's put on a plate for us. Doing just that will help us finish 6th behind Newcastle in 5th, Bournemouth in 4th, Palace in 3rd, City 2nd, and Arsenal 1st. The real hot take here is actually that Liverpool are below us in terms of expected points, but it shouldn't really come as a surprise to a lot of us because they've been very lucky to win games by close margins this season. They beat Bournemouth by scoring 2 goals in the 88th and 94th minute on the opening game week. They beat a 10-man Newcastle by scoring a 100th minute winner. They beat Arsenal with a 40-yard screamer from Szoboszlai, and it took them a 95th minute penalty to beat Burnley. But when United did the same thing, it's shame on us, right? Look, I'm not saying Liverpool will finish below us this season, and I'm also not focusing on these stats just for fun. My point is that the underlying stats are telling us that United should be doing better, but the players keep letting us down. And in Liverpool's case, the underlying stats are telling us they should be doing worse than they are, but the players are doing extremely well to bail them out consistently. So when the perception is that Amorim is a terrible coach and his system is garbage and the players are good enough to finish in the top 4, I have a problem with that claim. Because Arne Slot, his system is scraping by each game despite having spent more than 500 million in the summer to bring in some of the best players in the world. And he is apparently the second coming of Jesus. So if you guys are still watching and you don't believe that United can finish 6th this season, just wait till the end of the next season because I'll convince you that we can actually finish 4th. If we go back to the 2019-2020 season, every single one of the top 4 teams scored more than 66 goals, while Chelsea conceded the most with 54. If we look at expected goals, however, Chelsea were second best that year, and they underperformed by 7 goals because their strikers were Giroud, Batshuayi, and Tammy Abraham. And they also conceded 13 goals more than they should have because Kepa was chucking it in his own net every game. So what we're seeing in Chelsea this season is a team that is underperforming on both offense and defense, but managing to finish 4th because they've scored more than 65 despite conceding more than 50 goals. Going to the next season, which is the first COVID hit season, Chelsea finished 4th again with a lot fewer goals this time than even Leicester and Tottenham in 5th and 7th, but they conceded the second least goals in the league after City. And again, this is a team that underperformed on both offense and defense according to expected goals, but managed to finish 4th because they were rock solid on defense and they scored almost as many goals as you need to finish in the top 4. So across these first 2 seasons, we're seeing an underperforming team getting into 4th place because they scored enough goals in one season despite their defense being bad, and because they defended well in the next season despite their attack being just okay. Now, looking at the 21-22 season, Tottenham finished 4th with 71 points, they scored 69 goals and conceded 40, which was all slightly better than expectation. So in this case, it's a team that's finishing their dinner in front of goal and doing reasonably well defensively. Then in the 22-23 season, Newcastle finished 4th again with 71 points by scoring 68 goals and conceding a league best of 33 goals. Again, the 4th best placed team this season massively underperformed in front of goal by scoring 9 fewer than they should have, but they compensated almost perfectly by conceding 9 fewer than they should have. So in this season again, scoring more than 65 goals was really important, and conceding less than 50 was also important. Moving on to 2 seasons ago, Villa finished 4th with 68 points by scoring 76 goals, but also conceding 61 goals. And surprisingly, they overperformed on both offense and defense, with the team expected to only score 67 and expected to concede a lot more on 65. But again, you can see how it is almost impossible to finish in the top 4 if you don't score more than 65. And had Villa scored less than they did here, they probably don't finish in the top 4. And finally, last season, Chelsea finished 4th with 69 points, scoring 64 goals and conceding 43. This is very similar to Newcastle in the 22-23 season, where they massively underperformed offensively, but massively overperformed defensively, so almost canceled each other out to produce a 4th place finish for them. So what's the key emerging trend that we're seeing here from the last 6 seasons? What exactly does a team need to do to finish 4th in the Premier League? On average, you need to score 67 goals, which is just 2 more than the 65 goal threshold that we've been talking about. You need to concede about 45 or less, but we've seen teams like Chelsea and Aston Villa finish 4th by conceding a lot more than that. And in general, you can expect the team to slightly underperform on their expected goals, with the average underperformance being about 4 goals. And even without going as deep as we have into the stats, I think this kind of makes sense conceptually. A team that is finishing in 4th place is probably not taking all of their chances in every single game. So they're losing 2 or 3 games that they should be drawing, and maybe drawing 2 or 3 games that they should be winning. And these fine margins are probably a fair reflection of the quality of the players that they have versus the quality of the players in the teams above them. And over a full season, the fourth place team is also finishing in fourth because they generally have the fourth best quality of squad or quality of players. For example, in that 21-22 season, Tottenham finished fourth by scoring almost as many goals as they were expected to, but their top scorer was Heung-min Son, who shared the golden boot with Mo Salah at 23 goals. But he did it with 9 expected goals fewer than Salah. What that means, based on our earlier discussion of expected goals and post-shot expected goals, is that the quality of finishing by Son was beyond elite in this season. So you take Son out of that team and Tottenham don't finish anywhere near the top 4 that season. So what does all this mean for United? Believe it or not, we're forecasted to score 76 goals this season based on current performance, which is the second highest just below Palace. That's better than Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, Bournemouth, and Tottenham. All teams that most Premier League fans would argue are better than United right now. And even if you take into account our poor defensive record so far, forecasting that out over 36 games shows that we should be conceding 56 goals, which seems really high until you look at the fact that Palace, Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, and Everton are also all on track to concede a similar number of goals. And there's a fair argument to be made that some of these teams, especially Palace, Chelsea, and Everton, are all strong contenders for top 4, with maybe Liverpool also at risk of being dragged into that battle if their poor form continues. So I just want you guys to take a big step back and see this for what it is. Every fourth place team in the last 6 seasons has scored 67 goals on average, which is 9 less than what we are forecasted to do this season at 76. They've also conceded 45 goals on average, which is 11 more than what we're forecasted to do. So if we can just score and concede exactly what is expected of us, which by the way is a team and a system that's designed to score lots of goals at the cost of being more open at the back, then we're pretty much a lock for finishing fourth, because look, no other team than Villa has scored 76 goals and finished in just fourth, and 2 teams have conceded more or as many as the goals that were forecasted to concede and finished in fourth place. Outside of just the stats, there are a few reasons I think United can actually pull this off. The first reason is this guy. Senna Lomans will for sure get rid of the goalkeeping mistakes that have led to 20% of our conceded goals this season. The opening goal against Arsenal and the final goal against Brentford just don't happen if he's in goal. And I have the confidence that he will be at least an average Premier League goalkeeper, which is what we need to concede, say, 51 goals instead of the projected 56. Think about it for a second. That is not a wild expectation. He doesn't need to be Prime Schmeichel to prevent 5 goals. The second reason I think United will finish top 4 is these 4 guys. Our finishing has been horrendous for the first 7 games, and it is bound to catch up in the rest of the season. We don't need these guys to turn into Prime Sonaldo, but if we can score around 70 goals, the top 4 spot is pretty much a lock for us. And my last reason is this guy. Based on everything I've seen from the Amorim system so far, it's actually pretty good at disrupting opposition's defensive shapes. It's a fast and chaotic system that puts us in a position to score tons of goals at the expense of conceding a few more goals. So over the rest of the season, I think we'll become slightly better at creating chances and taking those chances, and I also think we'll become slightly better defensively. If our players can step up to the plate and finish their dinner while limiting individual defensive mistakes, Amorim's system is certainly more than good enough to help this squad finish fourth. Only time will tell how much of this will come true. I guess we just have to wait and watch. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.